right, welcome back to Dynasty Football Maniacs. So, man, that NCAA, it's killing me, but I'm getting better, hopefully. Hopefully. I know Austin, we got a Dynasty League going, and I have a feeling I'm going to get slaughtered in it, but it's going to be fun when I do it. So, I'm good with it.
Well, I had a pretty tough battle today, but eventually he made one crucial mistake and I took advantage of it.
Well, there you go.
But
Oh,
hey, the chips can fall all in your favor too eventually.
that is true. So we've already covered running backs, wide receivers, and now we're going to cover the quarterbacks, tearing them out real quick and ranking them. Um, this is for Dynasty Fantasy. So tier one, you got your Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and CJ Stroud. Now,
All right, what is it?
uh, I mean, I'm good with. Uh, I can't argue Josh Allen.
I have
Little
a
fan.
feeling I have a feeling I know which way you're gonna go, but please elaborate for me.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, I really don't know if I need to even go that way because now I look at Patrick Mahomes. He only scored 294 points. Jalen Hurts scored 371.8. But I think towards the end of the season last year, Jalen Hurts fell off so much. I think a lot of that was in the beginning of the season.
Well, most of his points too was because of the tush push as well. That really bolstered up his points.
Yeah, but he had
I
an
mean,
even amount of touchdowns with CJ Stroud. I mean,
but 15 rushing touchdowns, that's absurd. That's like a cheat code for quarterbacks.
okay, yeah, I can't argue that one. So, all right. So I mean, I'm fine with the four. I just don't know about leaving Lamar Jackson out. I mean, is he? But then I can see it. I mean,
Mm,
I guess he could lead the top two in the tier two because you got Joe Burrow, him, Anthony Richardson, and Caleb Williams.
well, when we get to tier two, I definitely want to change something there. But I think Lamar Jackson is just on the verge of being into tier one. Um, but I think the only reason why I will keep CJ Stroud just a little bit above uh Lamar is just well, I mean, you got a lot of people that has a lot of hope and saw what CJ Stroud done last year, so everybody's on the hype train about it, which is fine. But I don't know. Actually, now that I'm looking at it and thinking about it, I kind of really would switch up. I would put Lamar Jackson in the bottom of tier one and just put CJ Stroud leading the pack of tier two. That's just me.
See,
Just
I'd
because
struggle.
just because look, I know you love CJ Stroud. Don't get me wrong, he did really well last year. But
I
I
think CJ
mean
Stroud's better than him.
Lamar Jackson, yeah, but he still runs the ball a lot. And you know, when you have a rushing quarterback like that, that is just a cheat code. It's running quarterbacks are cheat codes in fantasy football. It is broken. It is broken when a quarterback can run. That's the reason why I would put him just above CJ Stroud.
So this is where I'm torn about the whole ranking of quarterbacks. Most of the time, when you put the stats to the rankings and what people think, it's pretty close to what they scored in fantasy and what their average production is. But when it comes to quarterbacks, it's like a far drop. It doesn't even come close. It's like you could have a guy scoring 360 and we're going to throw him in a tier three. And everybody else can't even hit over 300 points in fantasy. So that gives me a lot of heartburn. So really, when it comes to quarterbacks, it's just opinions. It's not statistics at all. Because if it was, half the quarterbacks wouldn't even be where they're at. But
Well, I mean, Lamar Jackson's finished as the number four fantasy quarterback last year,
yeah,
and
and
then
he
CJ
should be in
Stroud
tier one because he's
and
the number
C
four.
right, and CJ Stroud finished 11th.
Yep,
And
I
then
agree.
saying he was mainly a pocket guy. And then when
Yep,
you look, Jalen Hurts has finished as number 2 quarterback and only because of them 15 rushing touchdowns because of that tush push. I don't
yep.
believe, in all honesty, I'll still keep Jalen Hurts where he is, but I can really see in fantasy football wise, I mean, we're really going to see if Jason Kelsey was the whole piece to that tush push or not. But I mean, and Josh Allen, he's like both. He can do both. He can throw a lot of passes and obviously run in a lot 15 touchdowns. He ran in 15 touchdowns too, but he also threw 29 touchdowns. So that made him number one. But
I can go with you on that. So I'm good with taking CJ Stroud out just with that reasoning, because what I just said by stats, should he really be there in tier one? I think we're overshooting. Yes, he's a young quarterback. Yes, he's a great quarterback to build around. Um, but should you be drafting them before the others? I don't know. I mean, they're still all young. Lamar ain't that done in. Jalen ain't that done in. Patrick Mahomes is on a roll. I mean, it ain't like we got a Tom Brady up there anymore. I mean, all your 30s and 40-year-old guys are gone. I mean, there's still some in there, but not up in the top. So yeah, I totally agree with you. So I think it should be Josh Allen's. And I am fine, even though Patrick Mahomes didn't finish in the top four scoring. It's he has that possibility is he's guaranteed points. So putting him up in tier one would make sense. And then Jalen Hurts, like you said, the beneficial of the rush, the tush push. Right now, that's kind of like the Lamar Jackson argument. You got that rushing edge and the touchdown. So you'd want them both up there. They're both good quarterbacks. And I could see CJ Stroud leading. The only guy I think that needs to join tier two that's not in tier two after that adjustment, like, so I'm good with the one. And then going into tier two with CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, Anthony Richardson, and Caleb Williams. I get everybody's hype on Caleb Williams. I'm fine to leave him in two. I mean, but I don't think he should be. I think someone should be above him. And this is who I think. And he's in a tier three category. I do not think people are giving Jordan Love enough love and respect. The guy scored in the top five first year as a quarterback. I don't think we're going to see him fall off. So I don't see why you would put him at a tier three. I mean, why would you? I mean, what would you think?
well, I don't think Caleb Williams should be in tier 2. I honestly, to be honest with you, I really see 2 people in tier 2 that
Yeah,
should be in there.
yeah.
And the way I would put it is, CJ Stroud would be leading the charge, and it'll be Joe Burrow, Anthony Richardson, and then I'd have to put Kyler Murray right underneath Anthony Richardson, and then I would throw Jordan Love in there as well with the tier 2.
But yeah, I kind of agree with you too. So where would you put Caleb Williams? You put him at the top of three, or would you put him in mid three?
I know, I know it looks murky in the wide receiving area with the Chargers, but I still really love Justin Herbert, regardless of the wide receiver situation. So I would put Justin Herbert leading the charge. See, this is where it gets tricky. I still think I would put Caleb. Yeah, I would have to put Caleb Williams. I'd have to actually put him in. I would put him right between Brock Purdy and Tua.
You would put Jaden Daniels ahead of him, or would you take
No,
you take
well,
Jaden?
I honestly I would take Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams because I love the upside of him being able to be a running quarterback. And I know he's small and he'll pop, and if you hit him right, he'll probably explode. But still, there is so much upside to that. With Caleb Williams, I really see him being more of a. I mean, yeah, he can run if he needs to, but I really see him being more of a. I'm gonna get it to my receivers because they have a lot of weapons. So yeah, I would. I to just this is just me. I would get Jaden Daniels. Just because of the upside with Jaden Daniels being able to scramble. But I'd put Caleb Williams between Brock Purdy and Tua. Even though I said I like Jaden Daniels, I still wouldn't put him over Trevor Lawrence just
Yeah, I think
because of.
this is yeah, and that's where I'm at. So what I would do,
And the only time but there's one more thing real quick.
all
And
right,
I would just put I would put Jaden Daniels at least above Dak just because of mostly age, since Dak's already like 30. But that's how I would do it. Now I want to hear what you would do.
I wouldn't take Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels out of tier 3. I'll leave them in there. But I do like how you positioned them. The only
Okay.
thing I would change is like I said, I would move Jordan Love to the final of the two. So you
Okay.
would have CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, Anthony Richardson, Kyle Murray, Jordan Love as your 2 tier. 3, I agree with you on Justin Herbert. He needs to stay in the 3rd tier leading it. Trevor Lawrence, yes, I do agree with you on that. He needs to be above Jaden and Caleb Williams.
Right.
Um, I do believe since Jaden has more of a rush shot and ability on that, he should be higher ranked than Dak. Not to do Caleb Williams any injustice. I just have this like I don't see it. I just don't see it. So I'm fine with him there and everybody can have their hype. Um, I'd say we put him there and put Brock Purdy and then Tua at the end. So really, actually, I totally agree with your order. I'm not gonna push on that one. Um, I mean, that would be the tier 3. I mean,
That
I don't
seems
see why. I mean, because you can't do any injustice to Dak. He did score 351 last year in total
now.
fantasy.
Now I do want to point out something though. I was looking at tier 4, and there is somebody that I would think you would probably agree with this. I would actually throw I would actually throw him right above Tua in tier 3.
And who's that?
It would be Jared Goff.
I agree with you. I was sitting here thinking the same thing. I would put him in tier 3.
Right, I would put him right above Tua. And all honestly, I thought about putting Tua back into tier 4, but like kind of leading the charge on tier 4.
That would make sense.
Just put where Jared just switch Jared Goff and
Yep.
Tua.
Yeah, that would make
Yep.
more sense because then you lead to tier 4 off, and that would put
Hmm.
your rookies in there like JJ McCarthy, Bryce Young, Drake May.
Hmm.
I think they have Deshaun Watson too high. Uh, so this
This
is
year's
my what we're going to
th-
jumble around 4 in a minute. So let's just fill up 3, and we already dropped 2 down there, and we'll just talk about tier 3 right now because I agree with you on Justin Herbert. I mean, even though wide receiver room doesn't look like last year, he's already showed the skills, and I think he'll be able to do it this year. Um, Trevor Lawrence, he does his thing every year like he does his thing. He is a tier 3. I don't ever see him going higher than a tier 3. Caleb, Jaden Daniels, I think he has more of an upside than any of the rookies coming out right now. Just point that you said he can rush, he can pass, and that just whole core that he has lined up looks interesting. Not saying that Caleb Williams wide receiver core doesn't look interesting. It looks interesting too, but the 2 offensive lines are 2 different lines, and I think Washington has a better offensive line. Just my opinion. Uh, so I think that's what's going to hurt the Bears. If Caleb's running for his life and he can't run as good as Justin Fields, and I'm not saying he can't, it doesn't matter who you got running in the backfield because if you can't get the ball out and get away, you know what that ends up, right? When you're panicking, you make
yep.
misjudgments, you make mistakes, and I just disagree with the world on this that Justin Fields just sucks that bad that he can't be a quarterback no more. He has to be a backup. I just think he was put in a situation and we're going to see it with Caleb Williams. And we're going to say, oh, no, we groomed him up. We gave him stars. We'll see. We'll see if he's running for his life like the other guy was. So
I think
I didn't see them fix that end. I didn't see them replacing anybody. I seen them getting all this other offensive weapons, but nothing on the line. So
they never really held Justin Fields out much. They didn't finally decide to start helping him out with getting receiving help and stuff until last year when they got traded for DJ Moore.
yeah, that's true.
But that's a different topic on a different situation.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm good with that. And then yeah, I don't think Jared Goff should be left out of tier 3. I mean, him and Brock Purdy, um, both good quarterbacks. They're having their moments. I don't really ever. I see them like finishing like they're finishing, but I think the quarterbacks we have ahead of them will end up doing better, and they're just always going to be them star players that we'll
So,
talk about.
so without looking, let me ask you a question. Who do you think finished ahead of each other in fantasy last year? Jared Goff or Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy by just a few points. I know it's close. I think one's like 306 and one's 303. I might have got them mixed up, and I might be wrong on the numbers, but I know it's close. And
Yeah,
it's
Brock Purdy inches him out by 4 points.
yeah. I mean, they're close. They're both close. So at the end of the day, I'm that it really depends on where I'm at in a startup draft. And we're gonna get an opportunity to see a startup draft this year and do an episode on it. So that'd be exciting. I'm always big, your first couple picks, I'm running back. And some people are not that way. Some people are quarterbacks. I mean, everybody's different. The quarterback room that we got right now, like what we got going on, there's a lot of question marks and a lot of guarantees. So I would feel comfortable at any point drafting in the end of the first round, mid second round for a quarterback. I mean, I think there's enough quarterback stardom out there that I could roll the dice to pick the right rookie. Now, as you know, I am a big CJ Stroud fan. So, with that being said, I would probably pick a quarterback at a little earlier spot than I normally would just to get him, but I would not pick him at the 1, 2, or the 3. So I would still have to leave him down in a tier 2 because if I picked him up, it'd be at the 5, 6, or the 7, where normally I would still try to get a running back at 5. 6, I would probably go for a quarterback normally. So that would just be normal, unless there's a good wide receiver that just got left out there because a lot of quarterbacks got ate up or running backs. I would grab a top wide receiver. But
Hmm.
and then I'm also worried about Tua. I mean, yeah, he had a good healthy season. I'm glad for him. I'm glad that that whole nightmare situation where that whole question mark was ended. But it is concerning that Miami then just jump up and sign his 5th option and say, "Hey, we're going to take you on." You know, it's kind of like what they're going to do with Tua. You don't know. I mean, is he going to be there next year? What do you think?
That just depends on how well he plays this year, my opinion. But even if he doesn't stay with Miami, I'm sure somebody is going to take a chance on him and pick him up. I mean,
I think
even though somebody's going to pick him up if Miami doesn't sign him, which it really just depends on how well he plays. If they can have a good consistent year and don't have one like last year where they exploded, then all of a sudden they just started going downhill, then there won't be no questions about it.
I believe after this year, the 3 teams that will have a high potential chance of changing out quarterbacks. And the only reason I think Cleveland would hold on another year is due to the contract. I think Cleveland will probably let go of Deshaun Watson or throw him to the back. What has he done? And eat whatever cap they have to eat to move on. And
Well,
I also,
they won't be able to move on until another 2 years, man.
oh, is it 2 years they got to go before they can eat the cap? Oh,
Yes.
That has to
So,
burn.
yeah, they have to start him. They if they were to eat into this cap for the next 2 years, it's just going to hurt them even more. That's just like you paid. That's just like you paid on your land, and then somebody just comes and just says, "Hey, you still have to pay more."
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. But I do believe we're going to see a change. I don't think they're going to stick with them. Maybe 2 years. I think at one point in time, they're going to try to get rid of them. Uh, Another team, I think a big question mark is Dallas. I think Dallas will end up letting go of Dak. I think Dallas will end up drafting a quarterback. I think Dallas will move on from Dak. That's just my opinion. And I think in the long run, Miami's going to move off of Tua. That's just my belief. But I could be wrong because I'm not always right.
Well, man, there's a pretty good guesses. You can always guess the Steelers too.
Oh, Steelers is a total mess. I was trying to stay away from that. Then you got to bring it up.
Well, I mean, it is a mess. I mean,
At the end of the day, you don't know who's going to be the Steelers quarterback
yeah.
next year.
I mean, you really don't. You really
I'll tell
don't.
you what was impressive is seeing Bryce Young come back with them arms. I was like, what did they feed that boy off during the summer? I mean,
He got
Jesus
that.
Christ.
He got tired of people calling him small, so he's like, "I'm a bulk up."
It looks like Popeye out there throwing the ball. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But all right. So tier one, we got Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and then Lamar Jackson. Tier two, we got CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, and you need to get your stuff together this year. You're going to fall out of my tier two quickly. Uh Anthony Richardson, another one. You're on the grace of falling out. And Kyle Murray, I think this is your hope to redeem yourself. And Jordan Love, I think you're well deserved to be in tier
Kyler
two.
Murray will redeem himself.
I know he will. Out of anybody I just named, I think Kyle Murray has a better chance of redeeming himself than Anthony Richardson and Joe Burrow. Now, don't get me wrong. Anthony Richardson is very athletic. Anthony Richardson has a lot of talent. And yes, he can be taught. And they're working on that. But he has a lot of missteps and he injures his body quickly and he does a lot of things he shouldn't do. And until they can get that out of him, we've seen quarterbacks like him before just literally crash and burn after about 2 years. So,
I have
I
a lot
mean,
of I have a lot of hope for him. I'm sure they'll get him straightened out.
I know why you have hope for him. I just hope
uh
you got another hope behind him if you need him, right? So, uh,
well, I put a lot of chips into that pick, so I need it to work.
yeah, well, I've done that before and lost that chip, but that's me. And then I do agree, Justin Herbert should lead tier three. And I believe that Trevor Lawrence should stay in tier three. And I believe Jaden Daniels should be ahead of Caleb Williams because in my original quarterback rankings, I had him ahead. And I believe uh Dak Prescott needs to be in tier three. If Dak was a lot younger, I'd be like, oh, he needs to be tier two or tier one. I mean, he is a scorer. So I mean, that's why I don't understand what Dallas's deal is, why they can't get nothing done. Uh
Well, I can tell you why. A lot of it has to do is we got to pay CD Lamb, who is threatening to stay out of training camp, and then after this year, we got to pay Micah Parsons, which he's gonna want a bigger contract too. It's just we've been really great about getting talent, and they've actually hit. It's just they all want money, and no matter how much the Cowboys are worth, we all still have to follow. Every team still has to follow a salary cap, so sometimes you have to make really hard decisions on certain players. It's a, good-
and this is
it's
where
a
I
really
think,
sticky situation.
yeah, I think this is where Dak needs to sit back and say, hey, where do I want to be? Because honestly, this is me talking to Dak. I think you should just take a pay cut, stay where you're at. Don't be overzealous. Yes, you're a good quarterback, but you're not Patrick Mahomes. You ain't won 3 Super Bowls. And Patrick Mahomes doesn't even take that much money. So why be so greedy? I know what the average quarterback gets paid. I get it. But I think he'd be more beneficial staying another year with Dallas because I think Dallas always has that potential. And I think if they could get the star players that are young, like CD Lamb and Michael Parsons, to stay on the field and be happy. And I disagree with your running back room. You might need to work on that. I don't know where you were going with this. There were so many other options out there. It's not that I don't love Zeke, but I really think you took a step backwards. So moving forward, you need to look at where you're drafting and what you're doing. And Dak needs to just say, hey, I don't need to get paid all that money. At the end of the day, he could still get a good check. He's done made his money in the NFL, and I don't think any other team's going to pay him that whole bunch of money. I mean, that's just my opinion. I just don't. So you could tell who wants the championships and who don't. I
Just
mean,
it just they all gonna say things and stuff, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to do what you're gonna have to do. If you want to get extra money, then you have to make a sacrifice of going with the team to give you money, and you gotta when things don't go right, then you're just gonna have to accept that fact because you wanted more money.
yeah. So I know this made me chuckle, and I didn't mean to chuckle, but I thought something flashed in front of my head, and I was like, "Oh, that would have been a cool trade." But then that would like be the worst trade of lifetime too. I mean, Deshaun Watson for Dak Prescott.
Yeah, that would be a terrible trade.
But it'd be something Jerry Jones would do. So
Well, I don't know if
until
he
his
go that
son,
damn far.
I don't know. I mean, he's getting pretty close.
Nah, he ain't at Joe Biden levels.
Well, I'm starting to wonder. All right, so we'll go to the next subject. JJ McCarthy leaving off 4. Okay, so 4's got a big category.
Oh, we agree that we would put Tua down
Yes,
since
2 is
so he
leading
would
4.
he would be
Yes,
leading 4.
yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry. That was me skipping a beat. I'm glad you caught me. We'll highlight this. So this is really mixed up on feelings. Like, because after you're down past 16, or let's see where we're at.
Yeah, we're around 16, 17.
Yeah, we're at 17. 2 would be our 17th rank. So I am fine. Let me look at this here for a minute because, okay, I'm good with JJ McCarthy and Drake May because they're a question mark. Their rookies are coming out. They got a high potential. We know they're going to probably, I know they keep saying the Sam Arnold deal's coming, but come on, guys. We've seen it so many times and replayed so many times. How many times has he actually won the starting job? So let's get off of it. Uh, Bryce Young, I feel like there's going to be a change. I think the way they built the offense coming up, they're building it to that short and dunk mentality, which will also improve his play. Where he gets that short and dunk, he gets it close in him, and then he go for the long ball. So they're working him out. They're getting a little bit more. They got him a good wide receiver from Pittsburgh, and then also they picked up a rookie tight end, and then they got the rookie running back, and then they still have. Didn't they keep Miles on the team, or did they trade him off, or was it 1 year contract?
No, they still got him.
Yeah, they got him still. So
No,
I
they gave him a pretty good bit of money
yeah.
for a running back to he was supposed to be the starter, but now he just looks like he's barely making the team.
But this is where I'm at in the tier 4. There's no way I would have Baker Mayfield under Deshaun Watson, Will Smith, Will Levis, and Kirk Cousin. So
Do you do you really believe in where Drake may be in
actually, I feel like
Alabama?
Baker Mayfield should be all the way up behind Tua, in my honest opinion. I mean, tell me why not? I know he had that little rough stink. He was immature, but look at what he's done back at Tampa. I mean, I think he still has a little bit more potential. It was even better that Mike Evans decided to stay and help him out, and that whole thing's working down there.
I can't
I
even.
believe we'll see him in the playoffs again. I believe we'll see him in the same fantasy points that he's currently scoring, which is last year he scored 284. I mean, out of everybody in the tier 4 section right now, the highest scorer is going to be Baker Mayfield. If I was putting money on it, I would be betting on Baker. Other than Tua. Tua, and they're right neck to neck. Tua's 284.4. Baker Mayfield's 284.1. I mean, there's not much difference between the two quarterbacks. They're both long passers. They both have very high accuracy. Uh, it's just currently the teams they're on, they're just not able to excel above the other guys. They get to the playoffs. So I just think that's injustice to put him down. So really, honestly, I would take him up, and this is how I would read it out, and you tell me how you feel. I would put him below Tua, and then I just have this feeling that Bryce Young needs to be right underneath Baker. And I'm not a Bryce Young fan, so I'm looking at what's being put on the team and what they are doing, because they didn't just add weapons on the offense. They actually added weapons on the offensive line. Now I know they took some defensive stuff away to try to free up money and do what they had to do, but it'd be interesting to see what they do. We're talking tier 4 too. It ain't like we're talking the top 3. This is like, and I'm going by statistics. Matthew Stanford, I get why he's at the bottom. He's about done. Yeah, he had a decent season last year. A very undecent season, but a decent season. But sooner or later, we're going to see his backup come in. Michael Penix ain't going to play until Kirk Cousins goes down. So I don't even see why we even have him into tier 4. Because why would you draft him?
Well, I think I kind of see why they put both of them up in here is because what if Kirk Cousins isn't the same after that Achilles injury? What if Kirk Cousins, he comes out and he's actually playing at a tier 5 or tier 6 level? I think that's the reason why they have them kind of close together, because it's just a question mark of we don't know how he's going to be in the Achilles injury, especially when it's his planting foot where the Achilles tore.
Oh, I can see your point on that, because that is a bad injury.
Right.
And he's not as young. And I know they made the big contract, but that contract is what, like almost like a 2 or 3 year deal, really. I mean, it ain't like they ain't got to hold on to him forever. Uh, and Michael Penix is went through his injury, so this will give him time to kind of recuperate, get ready, and if he needs to step in, he'll be able to step in. All right. So okay. So all right. So are you good with Tua, Baker Mayfield, and Bryce Young? And then we go from there.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that.
All right. So now we're at JJ McCarthy, Drake May, Deshaun Watson, Will Levis, Kirk Cousin, Bo Nix, Matthew Stanford, Michael Penix. And yes, they got Justin Fields ahead of Russell Wilson.
Well, they probably think that he's going to eventually take over the starting
Yeah,
job.
and this is dynasty ranking. So yeah, so I mean, I get that. Um, I think Gardner Minshew, I know he struggled his first starting job, and then he got put on a back burner, and then he went to Indianapolis, and Anthony Richardson got hurt, and he showed out a little bit. He did very well, even took it to the playoffs. I can't believe with him going to Las Vegas, he's getting the starting job. Or do you think Aiden Connell's going to beat him out? I mean, I think it's pretty much Minshew gets the job, right?
I don't know. Everything points to Gardner Minshew
That's what
losing
I
the
was
job.
thinking. Ooh, it's like that tier 4. I mean, I don't know how to change that around. So, who do you think should be above JJ McCarthy? I know you said someone you felt should be up there. Did you really feel like they should be there?
Well, we already done got them behind Baker Mayfield and Bryce Young. So, this is Sean Watson one. I'm gonna have to
I don't
what
think
we
he should
already
even
talked
be in the
about.
tier 4 at all.
I don't think he should be either. If anything, I would put him right at the very bottom where Justin Fields is, only due to the fact that Deshaun Watson's actually, we know he is starting. We know he is a starting quarterback, and they have to play him for at least 2 more years. So I would at least put him right there, and then put Justin Fields for literally leading the Tier 5 crew. Just because right now it just sounds like Justin Fields is going to be backing up Russell until they finally pull the plug on Russell, and then Justin Fields take over. But then again, knowing Mike Tomlin, we won't even know. It'll just be, oh, well, here comes game day. Well, this one's starting. So I would put Deshaun at the very bottom of Tier 4. But then you got a whole jumble of, it's gonna be basically which rookie do you really believe in? Because I would still put I will put Will Levis over all the rookies, just because. Yes, he didn't really do that great last year, but at the same time, he did show flashes. And if you show me flashes, that at least gives me
Hope.
hope.
So
So
we'll drop. Yep.
I at least put Will Levis over the rookies. But at that point, I would just keep where the rookies are. I just kind of keep them same, like JJ above all of them, and then Drake May, and then Bo Nix, and then Michael Phoenix.
Where would you put Kirk Cousin? You keep him in between Drake May and Bo Nix? I would.
Yeah, yeah, I'd have to do that because I think Bo Nix is going to wind up. I think he's going to be the starter in Denver, and well, he's a lot more mobile than Kirk Cousins too. So I would agree with that.
Yeah. So let's stop there. I'm good with that. I mean, starting off Tier 4, we got Tua. Then we got Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, Will Levis, JJ McCarthy, Drake May, Kirk Cousins, Bo Nix, Matthew Stanford, Michael Penix Jr., Justin Fields, and Deshaun Watson. So if you're listening out there, even the experts kind of have both of them in the same tier for Michael Penix and Kurt. And that's kind of what him and me just discussed was the injury. What's his recovery going to be? And then I also agree with you. Will Levis did show a lot of sparks. He did have issues last year with Tennessee, but he showed a little bit more than what most people show. So sometimes people can be taught certain things and improve on certain things. And I think coming out of what happened last year, this year we're going to probably see a little bit better, maybe a lot more better play. So I'm good with putting him above JJ McCarthy because it is a question. How many games is JJ McCarthy going to play? What's going to happen? Drake May, that whole New England is New England. It ain't the New England we all remembered Belichick's days. It's gone. It's what it is. It's now the first time we ever see the new face of New England. Is it going to be the New England that's going to move forward or have to try to figure out what the hell just happened? Uh, and I'm not saying Bill Belichick is a great coach and he picked the right players, but there was times in his career that he had players that led that team to where they went. So, and that's what it really is, boils down to is you get the right players, put them in the right play, and then they take your team where it goes. Um, I'm a little bit like my stomach turns, but for Justin Fields, I cheer that he made it above Russell Wilson. So it makes me feel happier that people have higher hopes for Justin Fields than Russell Wilson. So I'm good with that choice. And I agree 100%. And I think this is the last year he has a chance to prove himself to even stay in the top Tier 6. And that's Deshaun Watson. If he doesn't do anything this year, we shouldn't even be speaking about him in even maybe Tier 6, not Tier 4, Tier 5. That not even in that category would I even bring his name up. I mean, it's just from Texas to Cleveland, nothing's changed. It's all high hopes and disappointment.
Well, it actually got worse when he went to Cleveland.
I know that's what's even worse. So Starting off tier 5, I get it. Geno Smith, you're doing great. This was your opportunity. You did great. You finally got paid. Good for you. He was always a backup. He finally had his opportunity. He shined. I think we're going to see that whole handoff coming soon. Sam Howell struggled at Washington, not in the beginning, but at the end. And I believe Seattle seen something in him, and that's why they got him for the backup quarterback. And you never know, they might draft one too. So Seattle wouldn't surprise me if they did that. But I could see Geno leading 5. I am happy with that. Aaron Rodgers, I get it. We got to leave him in the top for 5. We can't. He is Aaron Rodgers. He has won a Super Bowl. He is a talented player when he plays. I honestly believe you guys are going to be disappointed another year for the Jets. I'm sorry. It's going to happen to you. But as soon as you start losing, this guy's not going to play. Daniel Jones, I hope he has a great comeback, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to fail. I think out of all the quarterbacks I just named, the only one that would score higher, I don't even know if he'd even score higher than Derek Carr. But Derek Carr is a big question mark. He's got the talent, but he has his issues. So I'm fine with that. Russell Wilson, oh my God. I mean, he could be a talented quarterback, but then he has his issues. I think Gardner Minshew should be above Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, and Russell Wilson. But he didn't even score. Well, he didn't play the whole season. He only scored 205 points. I mean, what? Anthony Richardson played 8 games of the season and then Gardner Minshew took over?
No, he didn't even play 8 games.
Oh,
He
really?
only he only played like 2 or 3 full games.
Oh, Anthony Richardson only played 2 or 3 full games? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he had a bigger season. Okay. With that being said, then I'm fine with Gardner Minshew still where he's at. Sam Howell. Man, I just don't see how that like unfolded. He was 63%. I know what got him. You cannot have 21 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. You can't do it, man. I mean, teams like, ugh. That's what happened to what was his name that came out of Florida State that was so good? God, I can't even think of his name.
Talk
Oh,
about Jameis Winston.
yeah, you can't have a ratio of higher touchdowns and interceptions. That starts to, and maybe that was the issue. I don't know. But looking at your yardage, I mean, it's 63%. Uh, so I read this right, not misquote something and be a dumbass at the end of the day, which I do that often. So it's not going to be the first time this happened. Sometimes I could take you down a walk and you guys can't ever come back from it. His name is Sam Howell. Can't even
Wow.
remember his name.
You
Not
know where
Sam.
he you know where he finished last year?
I know.
He finished the
Uh,
12th quarterback, even with throwing 21 interceptions.
I know. And I see, I don't. So there had to be more to it why Washington let go, but I get why Washington let go because one, they had a chance to get Jaden Daniels. So they thought that was a better opportunity for them. I also understand why Seattle jumped on him like they did because Geno Smith is in his last days. It's not like he's going to die on us or anything, but Geno Smith is not. You got to think how many years? What was it? 8 years or 7 years he played as a backup before he got the starting position, and then finally got the starting position. It's like most of his career was a backup. Um, but he was sacked 65 times last year. He had 5 touchdowns at rushing, 263 yards at 48 attempts. He had 21 interceptions, 21 touchdowns, 3,946 yards. Uh, his percentage is pretty average, 63%. Um, Fantasy point was 278. So, I mean, overall, that's impressive. We know he ain't going to be starting next year unless something happens to Geno Smith and they feel like he's going to jump over him. So I can't move him above starters because right now you're talking Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, and Gardner Minshew as starters. So yeah, I guess I'm back to where I thought he should be. I mean, I was sitting there trying to tell a story why we should move him up, but at the end of the day, it's like If I tell you to move him up and you draft him, nothing's going to happen probably this year.
No, I mean,
He's a good guy to put on your bench for next year, a good holdout, someone you would think about picking up. If you had, now, if I was like, if I'm doing a startup right now and I ended up with Geno Smith, say I picked Geno Smith up in maybe the 7th round or 10th round. What round do you think it goes? About 15, 20, something like that?
it's
Uh,
a late round.
yeah. And then I got another pick right after that, and I could pick up Sam Howell. I'd pick him up just in case something happened to Geno.
I think the reason why they put him in the same tier as Gino is because they're thinking he probably could have a chance of actually competing with Gino, especially when Gino starts having a rough game. I really think that's one reason why they have him there at this moment. But then again, like you said, Gino could get hurt, and it's still Sam Howell. But you know, I really wouldn't change a lot on this tier five, to be honest with you.
I'm with you on that because we really don't know if Sam Arnold will actually get to start in this. So we
Yeah,
could leave him in tier 5.
they keep saying he is, but I
Yeah.
feel like that's a smoke screen.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get this out here. Sam Arnold. Let's make sure no one's left out that we don't think should be left out. I'll talk about that in just a minute.
I
So, right now we got for tier 5, we have Geno Smith leading the group. Aaron Jones. Good God, what's wrong with my names today? Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, Gardner Minshew, and Sam Howell, and Aiden Connell, and then Sam Arnold. Now, tier 6 is a group of former starters and backups. So, in a dynasty league, you have a little bit more roster positions. So, these are kind of important in a way. Um, Some of these quarterbacks were starters just not too long ago, just couldn't keep the starting job because they were beat out by somebody else. Um, I like the idea that they threw Spencer Rattler leading it off for New Orleans. I think as a backup, when Derek Carr misses a game every year, so he's going to get a chance to hit the field, and it'd be interesting to see what he does. Jacoby, he could end up starting a little bit for New England. So there's a lot of high potentials for him. So,
I have one person that I would take out of here.
all right, who would you take out?
I mean, you could probably agree with this too, but it's gonna be Ryan Tannehill.
I agree.
I mean,
I'll
he's
send
not
him.
even. I mean, he's not even on the team.
Yeah, and he could sign with the team, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, but even if he does, I don't think that's gonna change. We still wouldn't put him at tier six because he's more likely gonna be a backup if
Yeah,
somebody gets hurt, or he's only gonna sign with somebody if a starter gets hurt and they don't have a competent backup.
I mean all these other ones are legit, except for
I wouldn't really move that many,
no, because I
honestly.
mean these are true backups. I mean, if anything happened to Jalen Hurts, which doubtfully, you'd have Kenny Pickett. Um, Jake Browning's done proved himself at Cincinnati as a good backup when Burrow's out. I think Mac Jones is very capable of handling himself as a backup to Trevor Lawrence. Uh Trey Lance is a backup to Dak. We've done seen that route. I think we should have already gave up on Trey Lance, but they have him there. I'm fine with it. Jimmy Garoppolo, he could have a chance to start, but I think he'd just be as bad as Matthew Stanford. I think Stinson Bennett would probably have a better shot. Uh, is he? Yeah, he's back now. Hendon Hooker. That's only if Goff went down, and I don't know if that would happen. Arizona, you have a high potential chance of Kyle Murray falling out again, so he would be a good backup. Jameis Winston at Cleveland. Well, we all know what's going to happen to Deshaun Watson. That's a given. Uh, that's mean. I'm sorry. Um, Zach Wilson versus Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix will win the job, but I think they'll also utilize a little bit of Zach Wilson's experience with the Jets. He wasn't that bad of a quarterback. Drew Lockett, New York Giants. I don't even know if he'd be the backup after Daniel Jones goes down. That's just my opinion, but
He's actually probably wouldn't surprise me if he actually starts some games in the beginning of the year
yeah,
because depending on how Daniel Jones recovers,
Joe Flacco. What a man. Uh,
and
now
he's
at
the backup.
Indiana. He's at Indiana now as a backup. And I would definitely stash him on my roster just in case Anthony Richardson went down because I thought he played pretty good for Cleveland last year. Uh, Joshua Dobbs, think we went in with a lot of high hopes. He was showing high hopes and then all of a sudden just fell away. So, I mean, yeah, I'm good. I wouldn't change anything. I mean, it is what it is. Tier six is your backup land, and in a dynasty league, you're gonna have to pick backups. My goal when I pick a backup in a startup, usually I try to get the backup that I currently have for that team if possible. And that's not my normal backup, like that's gonna play bye week. Like in fantasy, you draft a couple quarterbacks. You have your regular quarterback and the guy that plays uh your bye week or whatever, how you do that mix. So when I say I pick one of these guys up, is there is times in the NFL that, and last year was a big experience for that, when players get hurt, a lot of people suffer. I mean, it's like every quarterback is valuable. I mean, I was getting good second round picks for literally third string quarterbacks. So I mean, I was ripping people off at the end of the year. So if you did any trades with me with quarterbacks at the end of the year, but I got ripped off at the beginning of the year, and no one ripped me off. I did it to myself. So that I
You
don't know if that
did.
really count as a rip off if you do it to yourself.
No,
No, that's just called
no.
stupidity. I won't even get into that story again. I still, every time I bring it up, heartburn starts happening. I have to grab my medicine and then I have to start drinking again. And it's like, we don't need to go through it again. Uh, So,
Oh,
with that being said, I am good with that. So, that would actually give us our top 52 quarterbacks. And I am good with that. Um, actually, am I good with that?
are you?
No, I'm not.
Hmm.
So, I'm going to throw one out at you.
Okay.
Tyson Bagent for Chicago.
No.
No, we'll leave him in tier seven. I ain't gonna put him in tier six. He ain't that. I mean, I don't see that. I'm good. Let's leave
Yeah.
it like that. 52 quarterbacks is good. We don't want to make it 53. That doesn't jive. 52 is good. That's an even number.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, we should probably take some out of the tier six. But yeah,
Well, we gotta leave in. We gotta leave it in for the nasty boys.
yeah, the nasty boys. I'm good with that. So that gives you our top tier six quarterbacks for 2024 with rookies. A lot of drafts are coming up. Some drafts already happened. Uh, I know on the 9th, we'll record a draft that we're going to do. And Austin's going to talk to it, tell me how horrible I'm at picking. I might have to get his suggestions on some of my picks. He ain't drafting in this one, so he can help me out and make me a better
I am just a
draftee.
spectator.
Yeah, he could be my assistant through this
I could
whole.
be I could be your side coach.
Yeah, Ralph, why are you doing that? Listen to me, Ralph.
Listen to reason.
Yeah, listen to reason. Well, if you like the content, please hit the like button. Catch our other episodes we've already released with the wide receivers and running backs. This is the quarterbacks. Guess the next one we cut out will be tight ends. That becomes everybody's favorites. And we'll do the defensive players. That we're just so close to the set end of closest to couldn't get that out. And I showed you my tongue too. That was probably disturbing. Uh so close to the season starting, we're going to have to hurry up and we're just going to probably combine the IDP ranking and just do the top tier 6 for all IDP. And that'll include linebackers, DLs, and cornerbacks and everybody in this. This way, when you're drafting, basically you're going to want them tiers and then you figure out who you need underneath that. So kind of get these shows ramped out real quick so we can catch up at least before mid August. So this way you guys can enjoy a freedom of 1 week without us, and then it's unleashed. Then the football season's here, life changes, and hopefully you guys start tuning in every day to see us because we're going to
No
just be
one,
talking our heads off.
no one disturbs me on the weekend.
Yeah, I shut my whole house down on the weekends,
Yes.
but I got it. All right. So if you like the content, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And what do you always say, Austin?
Make sure you share it because sharing is caring.
That is right. Sharing is caring. All right now.